If you think the history you learned in school is the final word, you might want to think again. Our past isn't some dusty old book sitting on a shelf. Nope, it's more like an active investigation, with new clues popping up all the time that completely flip what we thought we knew. So today, we're going to open up 3 case files that are totally rewriting the human story.
Okay, first up, our first case file tackles one of the biggest questions out there. Who were the very first people to set foot in the Americas? And, when did they actually get here?
For a long, long time, we thought we had this one figured out. We had a story that just made sense based on all the evidence we had. It was this epic story of survival against the ice. So, the story you probably learned in school is that people crossed from Siberia into Alaska over a land bridge we call Beringia. But there was this one huge problem. For thousands of years, right at the peak of the Ice Age, their path south was completely blocked by 2 gigantic ice sheets that covered pretty much all of Canada. The only way they could get through was to wait for those to melt. And that's where we got our magic number, 16,000 years ago. For decades, this was the accepted date, the moment when the ice finally cleared and the first humans could make that journey south. But then, a discovery way down in the American Southwest turned that entire timeline completely on its head. And it wasn't a spearhead or some ancient bone. It was something way more personal, way more immediate. These are the ghost footprints of white sands. For years, they'd just appear for a little while after it rained, and then poof, vanished as the ground dried up. But when archaeologists finally dug in, they found these perfectly preserved tracks of adults and children, pressed right into the mud of an ancient lake. It's literally a snapshot of a family from a lost world. So when scientists dated the tiny little seeds that were pressed into these footprints, the results were just, wow, stunning. They were left between 21,000 and 23,000 years ago. That puts people in North America over 5,000 years earlier than we ever thought possible. Smack dab in the middle of the Ice Age, when that path south was supposed to be totally blocked by ice. This means people were here, living alongside mammoths and giant ground sloths, thousands of years before their front door was even supposed to be open. It just completely rewrites the very first chapter of human history in the Americas. So that discovery basically tore up and rewrote the first chapter of history in the Americas. Well, our next case file, it rewrites the story of civilization itself. For more than 100 years, we thought we knew exactly how human society got started. It's the super logical 1, 2, 3 process, right? First, people figure out agriculture, which gives them a steady supply of food. That lets them stop wandering around and build permanent villages. And only then, once you've got a settled population and extra food, do you have the time and the people to build big, impressive stuff like temples. It makes perfect sense. But what if that whole story is completely wrong? What if the urge to build something incredible, something magnificent, came first? And what if that's what actually kickstarted civilization? I want you to meet Göbekli Tepe. This is a place that, according to the old rules, just shouldn't exist. It's this huge, incredibly complex series of stone enclosures in Turkey, covered in these amazing carvings. And the kicker? The people who built it weren't farmers. They were hunter-gatherers. The timeline here is just staggering. The first structures go all the way back to 9500 BCE. Now, to put that in perspective for you, that is 6,000 years older than Stonehenge. This was built at the very dawn of a new age, way before we see any evidence of big farms or towns anywhere else on Earth.
And look, this was not some primitive little camp. Just look at the sheer scale of these enclosures. And then you see the artistry. These massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing tons, are just covered in these incredibly detailed reliefs of animals, foxes, lions, snakes. This took a level of organization, of shared belief, that is just mind-boggling for hunter-gatherers.
Now, for a long time, archaeologists figured Göbekli Tepe must have been some kind of special ritual site, right? A place where nomadic tribes would gather. But new evidence shows that's not the whole story. Not even close. Recent digs have found actual houses, tools for grinding up wild grains, and even a really clever system for collecting rainwater. This proves people were living here all year long. It wasn't just a temple they visited, it was their home. They built the world's first monuments before they invented farming in cities, completely flipping our entire understanding of how civilization got started. Okay, our final case file. This one takes us deeper into the past than ever before, to a mystery that challenges the very definition of what it even means to be human. And it all starts with our most basic invention, the stone tool. All right, I know what you're thinking. This just looks like a shaped rock, right? But what you're looking at is one of the most important artifacts ever found. It's a stone tool from a site in Kenya called Lomakwi 3, and it messes with the whole idea that making tools began with our own genus, Homo. But here's the plot twist. This tool is 3.3 million years old. That's 700,000 years older than any other tool ever found, pushing the dawn of technology back into a whole new era. And here is the truly mind-blowing part. Our own evolutionary family, the genus Homo, hadn't even evolved yet. We weren't around. So if we didn't make these tools, who did? Some earlier ancestor, some other kind of hominin must have had that spark of ingenuity. It means that the very first technology might not have been a human invention at all. So after digging into these 3 case files, what's the takeaway? Well, it's pretty clear that the story of humanity is far from finished. It's a story that's constantly being revised with every new dig, every new mind-blowing discovery. Let's just quickly recap these bombshells we've uncovered. The first Americans, they got here thousands of years earlier than we knew, right in the middle of the Ice Age. The first great temples, they were built by hunter-gatherers, completely flipping the script on civilization. And the first tools, they were invented before our own kind even existed. Every single one of these discoveries proves that there are huge, unwritten chapters in our own story, still waiting to be found. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other massive plot twists are lying just beneath the surface, waiting to change everything we think we know about ourselves?